Hey there, fellow citizens of the internet. Welcome to the Moses Kabandana podcast, where I try to have conversations that are worth having. Today, I have with me Fitz Kohler, and we're going to be talking about resiliency and fitness, but not just fitness of the body, the fitness of the mind as well. So, without any further ado, Fitz Kohler, welcome to the Moses Kabandana podcast.
Hey there, Moses. Very excited to talk to your folks and hopefully teach them something they didn't know, or maybe you'll teach me something I didn't know, right?
Yeah, that's the whole spirit of this. So you talk a lot about cancer and recovery and that entire journey of what it takes to go through it, to beat it, and to come out on the other side as a solid, full human being that is fit in the mind and as well as the body. Can you walk us through your journey of cancer?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying I'm a fitness expert. I'm a highly credentialed fitness expert. I have a master's in exercise sports sciences. I've dedicated my entire adult life and career to helping people live better and longer by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. Not only am I a successful professional in the, taking action to actually help people, but walking the walk myself, which not everybody does, right? I know some authors of nutrition books that are terribly out of shape. So I was actually a very fit, athletic person. And in 2019, 7 weeks after a sparkling clean mammogram, I got out of the shower at a race weekend. I was running a race and found a lump under my breast. Just rubbed my underboob when I got out of the shower, and I thought, oh gosh, there it is. And so I instantly picked up the phone, and these are the lessons people need to take. Is number one, you get those annual exams, right? You take your body to your doctor, much like you take your car to the mechanic once a year or every 6 months. You say, hey, have a look-see. Let me know if you see something weird. Let's address it. Your skin, your eyes, your prostate exam, your lady parts exam, all the stuff. So annual exams count, but they're not the only thing. They're a requirement, but then you also have to be your own best advocate. And one of the things I think it's important is getting comfortable with your own body, because you're far more likely to find something strange on your body than somebody else. So your hands, your stuff, you should have a squeeze. So thankfully, I copped a feel 7 weeks after that clean mammogram, and I found a lump. And then the next most important thing I did is, within 30 seconds of finding that lump, I picked up the phone and called my doctor. I did not call my mom and cry. I did not Google breast lumps. I just called. And within a week, I had multiple appointments and mammogram and ultrasound and biopsy. And within a week, I had a surgeon call me to say, hey, Fitz, we're so sorry, but you have breast cancer. It's already spread to your lymph nodes, and it's running through you like wildfire. So we need to treat you immediately and aggressively. And so I had to make some good decisions there, right? So for starters, I was terrified. I thought, definitely dying. I had no statistical evidence to share that I was dying. And it's funny because I'm the most positive person in the world. I always see the bright side. But what I saw was, professionally and personally, I'm that beacon of health and happiness, that I have the perfect career and perfect family. I do all this stuff with fitness. I'm going to make the perfect tale of tragedy. And so it was pretty dark. I was terrified. And really what I was most scared of was losing my children's lives, right? I have 2 kids, Ginger and Parker, and not seeing them grow up and, do whatever they do was just heartbreaking. So it was very difficult. But eventually I met with an oncologist who said, no, Fitz, we're going to cure you. You're going to have to endure the cure, but we're going to cure you. So that's great. With breast cancer, it's in North America, it's 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed, and some men will be diagnosed, and 94% of us are curable, which is fantastic news. It's not good enough, because we lose 6% of that 1 in 8, which is a massive amount of women and men sometimes, but the odds are pretty good. So absorbing that, I made decisions, and that's where things really get not only interesting, but things get good. I had 15 months of chemotherapy, which was nightmarish. It was brutal, and I was violently ill, and I had all the symptoms. Any weird, awful, strange symptom you could have, I had it. And within that, I had about 33 rounds of radiation and I had some surgeries. But I made decisions up front. I decided, number one, that cancer was probably going to take my good feelings and take my hair, which it did. But it was not going to take special time with my kids. If they had a show, a ceremony, a sporting event, I was going to be there no matter what. And I'm pretty stubborn. I probably would have got off an operating room table and marched on out if my daughter had a cheerleading event or my son was running track. And then the other thing I decided was cancer was not going to steal my career. And so the thing that I do besides just being a generic fitness expert and an author is I'm a keynote speaker. And I'm a race announcer. So I host some of the largest, most iconic running events on planet Earth, dozens across America every year. And I just thought, no, I am not staying home and I am not missing out. I earn my rightful spot on those stages. I love the work I do. I love the people I serve. And cancer can take a flying leap. I am not missing out. No matter what happens to me, I'm getting on those planes. And I did. And then things went wacky and wonderful.
Okay, that's amazing. How much like what role do you think your fitness prior to your diagnosis had to do with your ability to act right away, and then also make it through and on the other side? And like you said, you were not gonna miss any of your kids' events. Do you think it just comes with who you are, or fitness played a huge role into that?
So it's interesting. Upon diagnosis with all the emotional stress and it's just unbearable, the stress you go through when you're diagnosed with cancer. Before my treatment started, I went hardcore at the gym because it wasn't like I'm going to get my body stronger, and that was part of it, but I needed the mental relief. I needed to be in there. But as my treatment started, I would give myself a couple days downtime after chemo. I'd get through the hardest part, and then I'd get back out there walking or weightlifting or doing whatever I wanted to do. And I would go 3 rounds of chemo or a 3-week round. So it was chemo. A few days later would be the worst, and then I'd be able to start moving again. And I traveled, I worked, I did all the stuff, but I was constantly still, if I could move, I did move. Even on days where I was just sick in bed, I would stretch in bed, or I would do little strength training moves like a plank in bed, or I would stretch in the shower. And I was doing what I could when I could. So after my 6th round, my first 6 rounds of chemo were the mean chemo. And I went in for that final of the 6 mean ones. And my doctor, and I was beaten up. Everything was wrong with me. I was sick as a dog. I was gray, and I had no hair and no eyelashes and no nothing, right? And my doctor, he said, "Fitz, you are doing so good." And I said, "I am not doing good. Everything about me is damaged in some way. I'm not doing good." He said, "No, you're doing so good." And I said, "Dr. Gordon, I don't understand why you're saying this. Everything is wrong with me." He said, "Fitz, I'm not suggesting you're not suffering. You're suffering greatly." And I acknowledge that. He said, "However, if you were not so healthy and fit coming into this and doing your best throughout," he said, "you would not have been able to travel the country week after week hosting tens of thousands of people. You would not have been able to get on those planes. You would not have been able to do those keynotes. You would have been not only at home, but you might have been in the hospital for a month. You might have had a feeding tube. You would have been way more prone to infection. So yes, you are suffering, but your commitment to health and fitness has paid off in spades." And so that was a real eye-opening moment for me, because really all I could see was the decline. I was treading water, desperately trying to stay afloat, and cancer and cancer care was dragging me down. And he just said, "No, you have been a machine. I don't have people that can do the things you do because nobody else is doing the things that you do to take care of themselves." So absolutely 100%. My fitness paid off in spades. I was still beaten up by the treatment, but I can't even imagine how much worse it would have been if I were not committed to health and fitness full force.
Yeah, and so where do you think this commitment to fitness came from? Like, is it just something that built up from you doing sports in middle school, high school, and so on and so forth, or like where does this commitment to fitness come from?
Yeah, so it's interesting. My family was full of athletes. My siblings
Okay.
were really elite in sports. I played sports. I was never elite, but I played all the sports. I played baseball and soccer, and I did speed skating and cheerleading, and you
Yeah.
name it. I did all those things. But when I was just before I turned 15, I started teaching fitness at a gym. And I had joined the gym because I hurt my knee playing soccer, had surgery. The physical therapist said, you should go to the gym so you don't re injure the knee. So I started teaching fitness, and I fell in love with the gym setting. I fell in love with exercise. I fell in love once I started teaching with helping people and connecting with them. And once I took that first position teaching fitness, I got really excited about it and started learning more and more. And eventually I went on to earn my master's degree and so forth. But I believe in it. I bought off on it. I'm a science girl. I love data. I love
Okay.
statistics. I love proof. I love evidence. There's a lot of people who base the majority of who they are on things they believe, but have never seen.
Yeah.
And with exercise, you can see tangible results. There are scientists all over the world proving day after day that exercise does a body good. Exercise does your mind good. And so I fell in love with it, and my ability to take that knowledge and share it and see people transform their lives, not just their body, but their relationships, their professional success, their confidence. Yeah, I'm a believer because I've seen proof.
Okay. And do you find yourself bringing in other people that are cancer survivors?
Yeah, yes.
Like as you travel, as you travel around and share your story, and like does that become like a beacon of hope for other people as well?
Well, I guess so. I think so. As I've been told, you never want to be like, I'm a beacon of hope, right? But I chose not to wear a wig during my treatment. So I never revealed the hardships during it. I waited till I was done, and I released the memoir. But people knew I was going through treatment, and they saw my bald head.
Yeah.
And because of that, people are like, "Oh, you're not staying home. You're not hiding out. You're not wearing a mask and hiding under the bed." And so,
Right.
when I got halfway through my treatment, after I'd really been beaten down, it was a point where my mother looked at me and she said, "You look like you're in the Holocaust. You need to eat." And I said, "Mom, I'm doing my best. My stomach is a nightmare. I'm trying," and I had
Right.
wasted away. I had lost a lot of weight, and I went into the gym post surgery when I got released to go back to lifting weights. And I just put the pin in the machine where it used to be, and I pushed and nothing happened. I lowered the pin, pushed, nothing happened. And what I found is this data, this evidence that I had lost 80% of my strength, which was devastating. So there I am. I'm a skinny little skeleton, bald and weak, and just looking at statistically what has gone wrong with me. And at that point I had two choices. Now, I think most people would have run out of the gym, got in their car, went home, cried, and given up, right? But what I
Yeah.
instantly thought is, well, this sucks. However, I know exactly how to rebuild my body. This is not undoable. I can get it back, and I know exactly how. And yay me, I'm a fitness expert. Lucky me, I can do it. And I did. And about a year or so after finishing chemo, I ran the Boston Marathon. So I've done a lot of things since then. So I did rebuild my body. However, at that same moment, I thought, oh my gosh, well, what would this be like if I were not a fitness expert? At that point, I really agonized for my millions and millions of peers around the world who had no clue how to exercise or use nutrition to slow the decline and rebuild their body. And the truth is, most oncologists will tell their patients, you should exercise, you should be active, you should eat right. But they never tell them how, because that's not their area of expertise. And so I decided that was unacceptable. And so I wrote the book. I wrote the blueprint. I wrote Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong. This is step-by-step guidebook for all cancer patients of all types of cancers to help them utilize, weaponize exercise and nutrition. And there is study after study proves that exercise and quality nutrition used wisely can help you get to remission. That's right, increase your chances of survival, and then decrease your chances of having a recurrence. And, that's the next scariest thing after having cancer is, golly, having it come back. And so, this gives people even, let's say you're a big intellect, great, but let's say you've never finished high school and you're just a regular Joe. You can still understand this.
Yeah.
And there's tons of photos on, how to exercise in a chair if you can't stand up, how to exercise in bed, how to stretch in the shower. It's everything. We cover nutrition and quality rest and complementary care. And then I also published the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal, which is filled with tons of wonderful prompts to help people document their journey from sick to strong. So yes, I am helping a lot of people. The book is doing great, and it's meaningful, obviously, when a cancer patient reaches out and says, I was diagnosed, I need your books because I want to be strong.
Yeah.
I want to do whatever I can to control my outcomes. But really what I find is that they're really popular as gifts. The second, I hope none of your viewers have cancer, right? That's the goal, is none of them do. But I feel confident that 100% of them care about somebody with cancer. When your friend or your family member gets diagnosed, you start thinking, oh, I wish I could help. What can I do? Well, this is what you can do. You can empower them with information and knowledge to get them through it in a better way. So yeah, taking what I know and what I've been through and bringing it to the masses and helping them through makes my cancer experience seem less futile.
Yeah. So a good segue to that would be, what led you to write this book? Because I'm assuming that there's other people that have been diagnosed and also gone through it, but just not a lot of people write books about the process of recovery, and every single individual that I know, including myself, we know of cancer and we know the devastating effects that it has, and at least I know at least one person that has been diagnosed, beat it.
Okay.
At least two people, but very few people actually take the step to, hey, I want to write a book. I want to share this. So obviously you wrote the book to share with other people. But what took you to actually go through with the steps of saying, okay, I'm gonna go from the conceptual understanding of, hey, I'm gonna share these ideas, and to actually putting words on a paper and actually pushing the books out and saying, hey, this is something that in a sea of doctors and unlimited online sources that talk about X, Y, and Z in relation to cancer recovery. Yeah, so what drove you to actually write this? I'm just curious.
So going back many years, when I was about 20, I started working in television. I hosted a fitness TV show called Cardio Jam, and then I would appear on the news a whole bunch giving fitness tips. And what I found is through my work in mass media that I could affect strangers. I would be walking down the street and somebody would come up and say, "Are you Fitz?" And I'd say, "Yeah." And they'd say, "I love Cardio Jam and I work out with you all the time and I've lost 17 pounds." And I'd think, wow, that's incredible. I don't even know you. I've never met you, and I get to help you. And so I became completely addicted in my capabilities to help mass amounts of people through mass media. That led to article writing. My very first book was a cookbook published in 2011, I believe, the Everything Flat Belly cookbook. And I just want to continue creating content. How can I reach people? How can I do that? And so the book seemed like the no-brainer for me. Now, is it easy to write a book? It's not. However, I'm going to say I'm a capable, talented writer. I have the ability to communicate in written words. I also create video content. So if people go to fitzness.com, they can take online courses that I've created. But the reality is when someone wants to learn about something, books are still probably the number one go-to tool for something so in-depth. And I had to get in-depth in this book because it's not a simple subject. It's interesting. If you're a fitness professional who's never been through cancer, boy, are you going to miss a lot of things talking to cancer patients. You probably can't get there unless you've been through it. Even if you've watched someone go through it, having that personal experience, I think, is vital. And if you're a cancer patient, but you're not a fitness expert, well, then what do you know? You know, doctors don't have my expertise. I certainly don't have theirs. And there is nothing in my arsenal of materials that I share that claims that I am any sort of medical professional. I literally target the fitness and nutrition. But yeah, it just had to be made. And I went on Amazon and there were no books. There literally was no resources for cancer patients. Yeah, there's some that are like the cancer diet and the diet. And you know what? Diets are restrictive and that's not what people need. People need to talk about nourishment and avoiding the bad stuff and making good choices. And it's just different. So yeah, I'm the first. I mean, I'm happy to be the only. You know, keep coming to me. I'm a trustworthy, educated resource, but I had no choice, Moses. You know, there's some things where people say, I have a great idea, and the idea never comes to fruition. Knowing what I know, experiencing what I've been through, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself had I not created quality materials to guide people through that experience. It's rough. It's rough. They need the help.
Yeah. So let me touch on an area that I have a conceptual understanding of, but in practice, oh boy, I could not be any further from it. And you already touched on it already, nutrition, right? I just open my mouth and whatever goes in, if it's chewable and swallowable, you know, that'll be it. But you're emphasizing a lot the importance of nutrition. And it's not just for cancer patients, of course, but let's stick to cancer patients.
Okay.
On a high level, what is obviously nutrition is important, but how important really is nutrition for someone that is going through cancer, and the importance of, like, I'm assuming that there's certain foods and nutrients that you have to have. I don't know. At this point, I'm just like opening my mouth. I don't know anything about the food stuff.
So you know, nutrition is not so complicated, and to be honest with you, I think sometimes I would be talking down to your audience if I said things like fruits and vegetables are healthy. Well, of course we know that, right? Right. Nutrition often is no more complicated than what we learned in kindergarten. There are foods that help. There are foods that hurt. The foods that are helpful usually are those that are grown from the ground, unprocessed, right? The foods that are hurtful are usually processed, have saturated oils, saturated fats, or fatty meats, dense with sugar, dense with preservatives. Those are things that are not so healthy. And of course, there's a couple of gray areas in there. But there's foods that help, there's foods that hurt. And then there's also intake, how much, right? And so if anyone is looking for weight management, go to fitsness.com. It's free. There's a block on the cover of fitsness.com that says exact formula for weight loss. You could also use it as exact formula for weight maintenance or weight gain. I target the weight loss because that's where most people are. But it's learning how to eat the right amount of the right food for the size you want to be, right? And so I'm not going to go into the whole formula because I could really get complicated. It's a very simple formula, but if you want to be 150 pounds, you have to eat precisely about the amount a 150 pound person requires. So on average, human body requires about 10 calories per pound of body weight per day. That's what you need to maintain your size. If you weigh 200 pounds, you need 2,000 calories to stay 200 pounds. If you want to lose weight, you eat less than 2,000 calories every day, right? And if you want to gain weight, you eat more than 2,000 calories. And so if you're 200 pounds and you're not moving, your weight isn't budging, we know you're consuming at least 2,000 calories a day. If you want to weigh 150, you eat the right amount to sustain a 150 pound body, which is 1,500 calories. It's basically just take your goal weight, put a 0 on the end, and and that's why your body will shrink down. It's much like, let's say, so I'm in Florida. It's hot here. I go away on vacation. I turn my air conditioning off while I'm gone. When I come back, my house is 100 degrees because it's Florida, right? So I come in, it's burning up, and I go to the thermostat and I turn it to 78. Now, just because I turned it to 78 doesn't mean, poof, my house is instantly 78 degrees. My air conditioning needs to do the work, and eventually it will get us to 78 degrees. And that's the same thing with weight loss, is you can program your body to be 150 pounds by saying, I'm going to feed you no more than 1,500 calories every day. And eventually your 200-pound body will go to 195 and 192, and it'll get down to 150. So it's consistency and so forth. So nutrition, not so complicated. Now, if you're a cancer patient, I think it's a really important decision to go meet with a dietitian, especially if you have an abdominal type of cancer. I mean, it varies, the needs and the things you might want to avoid depending on your treatments and your cancer types. But overall, if you are feeding your body nutritious foods, just as simple. We know that vitamin C boosts your immune system, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Do you need your immune system to be firing on all gears going through chemo? Heck yeah, you do. When you go down for surgery, do you want to be more likely to have infection or less likely to have infection? So if your nutritional closet looks like chips and fried stuff and soda, you're not going to have that support. But if your nutritional closet looks like produce and nuts and whole grains, you're going to have that support internally to fend off infections. So it's vital, and it's tragic more people don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I asked that because I at least for me, there's a huge distance again between my conceptual understanding of the importance of nutrition and the actual steps that it takes to one, identify the diet that I need, and B, going through with the process of eating, eating well across time. Yeah. So right, and that's the key thing there for me is like consistency. How do I do the right thing, the good thing, for the targeted goal that I have in mind, consistently across time? So, and that. Go ahead.
So here's the quick answer for that. And I can tell you're a lean guy. Good for you. If you're eating even moderately recklessly and you can maintain lean guy status, great. However, your insides might not look so healthy, right? So it is, and there's a lot of real thin people dropping dead of heart attacks, and real thin people who run, but they don't fuel their body properly. They end up with high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and they drop. So it's really important that you do focus on your insides. But the way you get it done is, A, remove the word diet from your vocabulary. You are never going to do keto. You're never going to do intermittent fasting. You're never going to buy a pill or a powder or any of that snake oil. You're just not falling for it ever again.
Okay.
What you are going to do is go meal by meal, snack by snack, and say, is this helpful? Is this hurtful? Which do I choose today? Even if you pull into McDonald's, you can order a salad. There's healthy food at almost every restaurant. I travel for a living. I'm always on the road in the United States, sometimes outside the United States. What I have found is they serve fruits and veggies and seeds and nuts and whole grains and lean meats in every city, in every state, in every country on earth. You can find healthy items everywhere. You can find healthy stuff in an airport. There are free sidewalks to use. You can exercise wherever you are. So whether you're a busy professional or you're a busy parent, do not ever use your children as an excuse for not being healthy. So many parents are like, well, I can't exercise. I've got kids. Baloney. You brought those little humans in the world. It is your obligation to make sure their parents stick around for a while. You need to, A, role model good behavior and give them a shot at a healthy life. But B, you're obligated to be healthy and see them grow up and support them over the years. So it's meal by meal, Moses. You just, at lunch today, you choose. You go, okay, what can I do a little better? Never aim for perfection. Perfection is unrealistic and it's boring. Just, I'm going to choose this versus that, and then keep going. And eventually, if you choose more healthy food more of the time, the bad stuff will start to make you feel bad. Not a long term, but instantly you'll start to go, oh, that greasy meal may turn my stomach. You'll become averse to the bad stuff. So good habits take time. Just start making them.
Okay. Small steps across time. That's the key there. Okay. Yes. So that leads me to the next thing that you mentioned earlier, which is movement. Right? Whether you're sick or not sick, move. and you can move on the bed, how to stretch when you're just laying down. Why do you think it's so important to move? And I'm kind of like speaking for myself here because I am a self-proclaimed couch potato. And like I said, I have the conceptual understanding of the importance of moving. And yesterday I was running around after my nieces and nephews, and after about, I don't know, half an hour or so, I'm like, I'm gonna go hide instead, So, why is this so important to do this tiniest of movements?
So, for a simple question up front is, on any given day, doing any given thing, would you rather be stronger or weaker?
Stronger, of course.
That's right. That's the answer. So weakness has no value. There's never like, oh, I wish my back were stiffer right now. Nobody ever wishes for that. I wish I had less balance so I could fall down more often. So, those pillars of fitness: strength, cardiovascular fitness, which would have allowed you to spend more quality time with your nieces and nephews. That's stamina, flexibility, and balance. They're all very important. And it's interesting within cancer care, we see our families are so worried about us, right? And they say things like, no, rest. Don't go out. Don't go exercise. Stay at home and rest. And what does too much rest lead to? It leads to muscle atrophy. It leads to muscle tightness and weakness and reduced stamina and loss of balance. And do you want your cancer patient falling because they're on all these weird drugs and now their body is unprepared for this type of simple obstacle, moving from the grass to the sidewalk, and they fall down? So the movement really matters. Movement matters to prevent atrophy. If let's say if you're weaker than you are now, is that a good thing? No. Can we prevent muscle loss? Can we prevent loss of stamina? So it's your abilities. It's your ability to perform. It's how you feel. On a very back burner, it's how you look. And when I work with people, if they care about the way they look, fine. But it's not my job to care about what you look like. My job is to get you to live long and live well. And if you're not moving and you're only sedentary, the pain's going to kick in, the suffering's going to kick in, and things are going to get really bad really quickly.
What are some of the most common, let's say, excuses that you hear for the reasons why people don't want to move?
So we'll start with jobs. We'll start with kids. Those things are, just foolish because they should be your incentives. If you want to be a top professional, take care of yourself. You walk in with your shoulders pulled back, looking like the most energetic, confident person in the room, you're getting that job, you're getting that promotion, you're getting that deal. So this will benefit your profession. This will benefit your personal life. What was your question? It just fell out of my head.
No, I was saying, like, what are some of the most common excuses that people use for not exercising?
Thank you. So it's kids and career, but then people will tell me, they'll tell me, Fitz, I want to lose weight. And I'll say, okay, exercise, eating right. Well, I hate to run. I don't care. Who cares if you don't like to run? Don't run. Swim, bike, dance, do karate, go cross-country skiing. Doesn't matter to me. With fitness, you need to understand how it works. And it really, if you turn your ears off and ignore the snake oil salesman, fitness is exactly what you think it is. It's some strength training. It's some huffing and puffing. It's some stretching. It's a little bit of balance training. It doesn't have to be complicated. So that's understandable. You have to know that you can attain it. Now, are we trying to be, just because you're trying to get fit, does it mean you're trying to turn out like Dwayne The Rock Johnson or Kim Kardashian? No. Fitness is just you becoming a better version of you. Can you do something today to get 1% better? I think the answer is yes. So you're just trying to improve your health. You're not trying to be who you were in high school. You're not trying to be like the Olympian or that hot chick on Instagram. You're just trying to be a better version of you. So, not liking to run is not an excuse. Not being what you were in high school is not an excuse. And other excuses, some people say, well, I hate the gym. Okay, don't exercise in the gym. Exercise in your backyard or in your living room or at the park. So excuses, they're just things capable people make up to excuse themselves from trying. So when you come up with an excuse, come up with a reason that explain to yourself why why it's a stupid excuse, because almost all excuses are pretty stupid, including cancer.
Well, I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. It's got nothing to do with the topic at hand. what is your absolute earliest memory? Like as far back as you can go, right? Like is the first flash of an image.
So it's silly, but I believe I was
Ah,
maybe between 2 and 3 years old, and I was riding my tricycle in my mom's kitchen, and I, I I got my tricycle stuck in the corner of the kitchen, and I shouted out, "I can't get out of this corner. I can't get. How do I get the hell out of this corner?" That was it. And so I
yeah, yeah.
remember that happening, and I remember getting spanked for saying hell. And of course, I was just repeating my mom. But yeah, 2 to 3. How the hell do I get out of this corner is probably the earliest memory I have.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Wow. 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
That whenever I ask this question, I'm finding that between 3 and 5 years old, that ends up being like the furthest back
Yeah.
people's memories can go. But I love that question. Not like I want to get out of this corner. Is how do I get out of this? And that small change in mindset, that small rephrasing of a question, at least for me, has helped myself when I find myself in a corner, proverbial corner, of course,
Right.
where so like the minute that I ask how, then my mind starts to find solutions
Oh, I like that.
to the different steps that I can take to get out of that situation. So question here, the how do I phrase this? Uh, if I'm going through cancer, right? And I don't have people to encourage me to do X, Y, and Z, or maybe all I have are people that are saying, "Hey, don't move, don't do this, don't do that. We will come to you. We will make sure that you don't move a muscle, so to
Right.
speak." What are the antidotes to that, right?
So great question. So first of all, the antidote is knowledge, and so that's how do I reach people, right? How do I get the book into their hand if they read? And there's actually
Yeah,
a section
yeah,
in the book that says if your family tells you to lie down, and you can tell them Fitz says that this will only do me harm, or
yeah,
you can tell them as well. But being your own best advocate has to be your number one job. So even though many of us have loved ones who care deeply about us and they drive us places
yeah,
or feed us and so forth, and they want to help, when it comes down to it, we're the only ones who can take the needle in the chest to get chemo, right? We're the only ones who can lie down for
yeah,
surgery or radiation. And it's a very lonely experience. Even if you're surrounded by love and support, it's terrifying. And
yeah,
again, my husband came with me to almost all of my appointments, but again, it was always me taking the beating,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah, yeah.
I learned very early on. I had this terrifying experience in an MRI. I'm claustrophobic, and the breast cancer MRI is
Oh,
really effed up. And I had a full blown freak out. And then, even with that freak out, I still had to go back in the MRI and get it done. And so, even though I was panicked, I had to get myself through it. And so, what I found myself doing is once I got in position and I had to hold it there for 45 minutes, I started coaching myself. This little voice in my head started saying, Fitz, you can do hard things. You have built a global business. You have raised two great kids. You used to be a competitive kickboxer. You can do hard things. You can do
yeah,
this. She was in my head just rattling me
mm,
and poking me and saying, you have got this. And so I maybe like a lunatic talking to myself, right? But it's exactly what I
mm,
needed. And so what I find so many people, whenever they're confronted with any sort of challenge, whether it's sign up for a 5K, they say, well, I can't do that. Ask for a job, ask for a promotion. I can't do that. Stop talking yourself down. You got to be in there saying,
mm,
yes, you can, go for it. And this is your life, right? If I would have cowered away from chemo or radiation or that MRI, I might not be here. I
yeah,
had to be the thing, the incentive, the motivator for myself because nobody else could do that for me. So, folks, you have to take control of your own outcomes. You have to advocate for yourself. Get people to come in and listen to the advice from your doctor because it's confusing sometimes and it's stressful and you might not You might not hear everything, but you make decisions for yourself. And let me show you this. So on the very first chapter of Your Healthy Cancer Comeback is chapter 1, control. You have to control what you can when you can. Now, you can't control the fact that you have cancer, but you can choose your doctors. They'll recommend treatment. You don't have to accept it. When you do, because you think your doctors are brilliant and they've shown you studies and evidence that this treatment will work, when you say yes, you have control over that. Like, okay, this is what we are doing. I approve. When you walk into chemo and sit down, you're approving that treatment. You're taking control of your life. When you choose to exercise, when you choose healthy food over unhealthy food, when you drink lots of water, that is taking some control. So, you can't be bullied when you have cancer. You need to do the things that are right for you. And the more you advocate for yourself, the more you choose exercise and nutrition, the more likely you will hit that day where the doctor says we have no evidence of disease. You are in remission. And hopefully, if you continue on taking good care of yourself, you will never hear the words recurrence.
Oh, that's amazing. Would you say that is how resiliency is built? Actively choosing to do the hard things multiple times across time?
Yeah, I definitely do. Resilience is a full mental game. You know, it's funny, when I was a high school kid, I told you my siblings were elite athletes. I played the sports. I also got cut from a lot of teams. I just wasn't naturally good at volleyball or softball and so forth. And anytime I got cut from something, I'd come home crying, and my mom would say, it's building character. It's building character. And at some point I'd say, Mom, I'm enough of a character, enough, right? But all of those hardships, all of those kicks in the teeth, all of those mean girls and the breakups and all those things, they steal you. At least hopefully they steal you up and they prepare you. You know, I was prepared for cancer, and mind you, I didn't want it. I tried to prevent it. I did all the things that I thought I should be doing. But when it came, I was ready for it. And so I did cry. I was nervous. I did have all of that, but I was ready for it. And I had been steeled up from previous failures, previous disappointments, and those are things that make us who we are, right?
Yeah, one of the analogies that I like to use is that I just imagine that I'm sitting on a chair and then something drops on my lap. I didn't ask for it. I didn't go after it. I was just sitting there and landed on my lap. So what I do with it is up to me, and how I go about managing this thing that I didn't ask for, that just landed on my lap. It's all up to me, and like you said, knowledge is key in this case, and previous life experiences plays a major role. As we're coming to a close here, are there some things that you wanted to make sure that are not missed, that the audience walks away with? It's kind of a broad question there, but
yeah, it is. It's but I want people to know that they do have control. You know, prepare your body to do battle today. So, of course, I want everyone to absorb the love of fitness and nutrition and find that for themselves. But, you know, if you are someone who just wants to use it as a tool to weaponize yourself, prepare your body to do battle today, because you never know when illness or injury could strike. So whether you're diagnosed with MS tomorrow, or you get hit by a bus or lightning struck, whatever, if you are healthy and strong going into any sort of crisis, you will be far more likely to recover and rebound, not only fully, but quickly. But if you're kind of a weakling going into crisis, boy, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So your health matters. Don't wait until you hear something horrible like you have cancer to start taking your health seriously. You don't have to be perfect. Be compassionate with yourself. Say, okay, whatever, I'm here. You know, I encourage folks to go in the bathroom, shut the door, get naked, look in the mirror. Know that whatever you see, you did that. If you're overweight, you did that. If you're the best weight, you did that. If you're in good shape, you did that. Especially our adults, right? So there's been nobody to lie you down, jack up your jaw, and shove unhealthy food in there. There's been nobody putting an IV of soda in your arm and cigarettes and so forth. So if you are disappointed with what you see, take ownership of that. And then when you take full ownership, you will understand that you actually are the person in control of improving your body and your health. You are the one who can make great things happen. Nobody can come exercise for you. Nobody can choose healthy foods for you. It's you. And boy, when you put a healthy body and a strong mind together, you will be unstoppable.
I love that. I love that because that can be applied in all areas of life as well, right? Career-wise, family-wise. Yeah, you look at your financial situation. You're like, I did this. Like I have a say in this, and then you ask the how can I go about changing this. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Fitz, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're in a weird culture right now. We're in a weird time where everyone's pointing at each other. Like, you're the reason I'm failing. It's your fault. But look around. There's someone exactly like you. They look like you. Maybe they're a woman. Maybe they're a color. Maybe they're this religion. And they're succeeding despite of it. So don't blame anybody. Just take ownership and go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think we avoid taking ownership? Because it's a very common thing across all areas of life.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's generational, and I think I'm not calling this generation the worst, but it's certainly not the greatest either. So, yeah, I don't know. I think people need to be able. I don't like safe spaces. Like, come on, we're built on a country of using words, and the ones you have to defend the strongest are the words you hate. And if you can stand there and have somebody look at you in the face and call you all the worst names and say, I don't like you and this and that, and you can walk away, go home and have a good night's sleep, you're a strong person, right? You're ready for action. So, I don't know. Parenting, I don't know what the reason is, Moses, but hopefully there's people like you or I encouraging to people to not only judge others as individuals. You get no extra credit for what you look like, and then you get no points against you for what you look like. And then I know that I'm going to have to live up to your expectations, right? I'm going to have to prove myself. You're not going to choose me because of what I look like or what my old people did. It's me. So, I like the individualistic, the merit society. I think that's just a better world to live in, right?
Yes, I totally agree. And if people want to find you and follow you and engage with you, what are the best places that they can go?
Yeah, so Fitzness.com is my home base for everything. That's FITZNESS.com. You can find all sorts of free resources there. Also my online courses, my books, keynote stuff. It's all available at Fitzness.com. And then I'm on most social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I'm at Fitzness. And what I would love, if you follow me, I promise quality content in return. But really what I would rather is for you to reach out and say, hey, I heard you on Moses' podcast and I'd love to connect, because I would much rather have friends than followers.
Okay. Fitzness. This is a great place to stop. Thank you so much for coming to the Moses Kabardana podcast. This is a great conversation that we're not having enough of, and I feel like you're doing something great. And all what's the English saying? All wishes to you. I don't know. There's a farewell type saying it towards the end there. But I wish you the best in all your future endeavors. And like you said earlier, wish nobody gets cancer, but the reality is people do get cancer. And this is a great set of tools that you're giving out for people to manage this thing that lands on their lap. So thank you so much for coming to the Moses Kabardana podcast.
Thanks, Moses.